Today I'm going to do a quick little video on how to make hearts of any size. These are based off of a free pattern I found online that I will link below. And using their method, I've sort of come up with a way of doing it any way that you want. These ones I made with double thick yarn, and I've put them on a wreath for Valentine's Day. So the first thing you have to decide is your yarn. I have some worsted weight yarn. And you'll have to decide what kind of drape you want your heart to have. So if you're going to do it for something like a keychain or a charm or something that you want to be like really kind of firm, you want to use a hook a few sizes smaller than what is recommended for your yarn. If you're going to be doing this on a blanket or more of an applique and you want to have drape, just go with the size recommended for your yarn. So normally with a worsted weight yarn, you're going to want to use a 5.5 millimeter hook. In this case, I want something a bit more firm, so I'm using a 3.5 millimeter hook. The second thing you need to decide is how many rows do you want this to be. The more the rows, the bigger it'll be. The free pattern online has 4 rows. I will do a quick tutorial in 3 rows, which will be really fast. We're going to have X equals your number of rows. So first, we're going to start with our chain. The number of chains is going to be X plus 1 times 2 plus 3. It'll make sense. And then for our turning chain is 1. So we're going to substitute in. So 3 plus 1 times 2 plus 3 plus 1 is going to give us 4 times 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 3 plus 1 is going to give us 12. And for this, you're also going to want to have some stitch markers. You can use scrap yarn, will also work, just tie it on. We're going to put a stitch marker in the middle, not including the turning chain stitch. So the stitch marker, so if you have 12 stitches minus 1, so 11. In the middle of that is going to be stitch number 6. All crocheting, we're going to start with our slip knot. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to mark this one. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're not putting on the loop on your hook, just on the chain stitch you just made. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plus 1 for turning. Step number 2 is we're going to do 2 single crochets in the second chain from your hook. And this is what you'll see, how you'll see it written in patterns. First stitch, second stitch. And we're going to do 2. 1, 2. Then we're going to single crochet in X number of stitches. So in this example, X is equal to 3. So now we're going to single crochet in 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Next move is we're going to single crochet 3 together. Single crochet 3 together. We're going to do that by inserting our hook, yarn over, grab a loop, go into the next one, yarn over, grab a loop, and into the third one. Yarn over, grab a loop, and we're going to yarn over and pull through all of them. Single crochet in X number of stitches, which is 3 in our case. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to have to turn around and go back along the other side. So we're going to do 3 single crochets in your next stitch. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to work along the back side. So we're just going to kind of turn as we go. This one, we've already done our 3 stitches in, so the next one we're going to work into is over here. And I'm going to crochet over my tail. I don't like to sew them in later if I don't have to. So working along the bottom, working along the bottom of their chain, we're going to single crochet up until the marker. Okay, split my yarn there. We'll just pick it up. Now we've made it to our marked stitch. And here we're going to do 3 single crochet in your marked stitch. Marked stitch here. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to move the marker into the second stitch that we just made. So here's the last one, and here's the middle one. You'll see this in a pattern as move, marker to the middle stitch. Now we are going to single crochet into the X plus 2 stitches. And then we're going to mark it, and then mark last stitch. Now this starting row is the hardest one. After that does get much easier once you see the heart take shape. So our X number is 3 in this case, so 3 plus 2, I'm going to single crochet in 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and here is our last one. 5. So that is the first row, and you're going to end up with almost a heart shape. So going forward, we're going to do increases in previous increases, and we're going to decrease around the middle. It'll make sense in just a moment. So an increase is when we do 2 stitches in 1. 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. So this row, we're going to start with increase in 2 stitches. We're going to do 2 stitches in this one. 1, 2, and 2 in the next. 1, 2. If you take a close look, you find your single crochet 3 together. And we're going to mark that. Mark your single crochet 3 together. So it's actually just above here. And you can see that it looks like some things are kind of pulled in together. We are going to single crochet 1 stitch before the marker. So I single crochet here. I will single crochet in the next stitch. And this one is my mark stitch. This is the one before it. So I'm going to stop here, and then we are going to single crochet 2 together. But we're also going to skip the marked stitch. So that means we're going to insert our hook here, yarn over, pick up a loop. We're going to skip this one and go into the next one. We're going to yarn over and pull through all of them. We're going to single crochet in X minus 1 stitches. So 3 minus 1, 2. 1, 2. I'm going to increase on the corner here in 3 stitches. 1, 2, 2, 2, and 3, 2. Now we're going to single crochet up until our mark stitch. Into the marked stitch. We're going to put in 3 single crochets, mark the second. Here's our stitch. I'm just going to take our stitch marker since we're going to be moving it up. Okay. 1, 2, 3. We're going to mark that second one we did. Now we're going to single crochet until the mark stitch, until the next marker stitch. For this one, we're going to increase in the last stitch. And then we're going to move the mark into the second stitch. So this is one that was marked. We're going to do 2 in here. 1, 2. Here you can really see that the heart is starting to take shape. And I'm going to move up my marker. Once you've made a few of these, you're not going to need the markers at all. Now before we start our next round, this was our marked stitch before where we did our single crochet 3 together. We're going to move that up into the single crochet 2 together. Now the pattern for these after this row, for rows 4 onward, you're going to increase in increases, increase in the second stitch, of previous increases, you're going to decrease or single crochet 2 together, skipping the previous 2 together of the last round. And then when we get to the bottom stitch marker for the point, you're going to single crochet, do 3 single crochets in the points. Every other stitch is going to be a single crochet. So in the previous round, I did an increase here. So you can kind of see last time I single crochet 2 into here. So I'm going to increase in my second stitch. And then I also had an increase here. You can see that there's two stitches going into here. So I'm not increasing in the first one, I'm going to increase in the second one. Increase just means do 2 stitches in the same stitch. Now next thing we do, we're doing the decrease part. This was my single crochet 2 together. So what we're going to do is we're going to end up doing single crocheting 2 together on either side of that. So this one and this one. So that means I single crochet in 1 stitch, which is x minus 2 if you're doing the math for it. Skip that one, go into the next one. If you're doing more than 3 rows, this is going to be the stitch that you end up marking for your next row. Now we're going to single crochet until I get to my next increase. And you can see that there was 2 stitches put in here. So on the second stitch, I'm going to do an increase. 1, 2. Find where your next increase was, which is right here, these 2 stitches. I'm going to put an increase in the second. And there was a third increase going around the curve. So you can see these 2 stitches were both made into here. So we're going to single crochet in this one, 2 single crochets in the next one. Now we're going to single crochet until we get to the point. Here we are at this one. I'm going to do 3, marking the second one. 1, 2, 3. And we're just going to single crochet until we get to our last stitch and do 2 in the last stitch, since that was also an increase. Here you have your basic heart shape. On these ones, I wanted them to be extra firm, so I did slip stitches along the outside. Of course, you can end yours there, and they look great. If you're going to do a slip stitch border around it, I will mark my last stitch. Right here. And it's pretty straightforward. The only point in which there needs to be any comment are going to be at the 2 stitch markers, one on the inward decreases and one on the outward ones. So here I want to make sure that the border I'm putting on kind of dips down like a heart would. So I'm going to single crochet in here, but we want it to dip down. So I'm actually going to go down to the previous stitch, the one that was skipped. Right here. And if you're not sure, just jab it in more or less where you think it's supposed to go. Not the easiest stitch to read. And then we're just going to go back up and keep doing our slip stitches all the way around. I could definitely see making smaller hearts into a garland, or doing a really large heart, maybe starching it as a decoration, have them as charms, appliques. You can put 2 together and kind of stuff them together. When you do your slip stitches, go through both lengths or both fabrics. Okay, so I'm here at the turning one. I slip stitch into it, chain 1, and then just keep on slip stitching away. So for these hearts, the biggest you can get is equal to whatever you want it to be. The smallest you're going to want to have is probably X equal 2. X for 1 would just be 1 row, and that really doesn't tend to get a great shape until you get to 2 rows. So your smallest is going to be X2, and your largest will be X whatever you want. If you're doing a nice rainbow one with 6 or 7 colors, you could definitely have 6 or 7 rows and use that as X. Just slip stitch into the last one, and then we can just cut it off and weave in our ends. This end, give a nice little tug, because sometimes you'll get a little bit of a bump here, and that'll get rid of your bump from your slip knot at the beginning. So it's not really a set pattern. It's more of a technique. If there's any questions, feel free to leave your questions in the comments and I will try to clarify. But basically, number of rows is going to be equal to X. We do our foundation chain, which is X plus 1, that number, times 2, plus 4. Mark your middle stitch. Then we're going to follow this part here. So this is, you're going to be single crocheting in X stitches. Here you're going to crochet in X minus 1 stitches. Row 4 is actually going to be X minus 2 stitches. Row 5 would be X minus 3. And then row 6 would be X minus 4. But you don't really need to count if you just keep an eye on where your stitch markers are. After this one, I put a little Velcro and it's on my wreath outside.